Good afternoon. Welcome to episode 44 of Be Growth Driven. We're happy to have you with us, and we're joined by a very special guest, Will Figueroa. If I pronounced that incorrectly, my friend, please correct
me. You are spot on. You are spot on, my friend.
So we love to bring people onto Be Growth Driven that touch on simply a key area, and that's growth. And when we talk about growth, we talk about growth in a number of different areas. We talk about growth in business. We talk about growth in personal. We talk about growth, growth in professional, financial, friendships, relationships, spirituality, all of those different areas. And in fact, what's really beautiful about this opportunity to visit with Will is we're both in a couple of weeks going to be in Dubai at our good friend Miriam's event, 10X Super Life, live in Dubai. And I want to make a special shout out, invite you there to 10X Dubai, 10X Super Life in Dubai. My good friend Will and I will be there amongst others, and we'll get the privilege of being able to share some information there and be a part of that event. It's simply going to quite a privilege, quite an honor. So Will, why don't we get started? We like to do this with every single guest, and that is, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're all about.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. First of all, I appreciate the opportunity to even be on. You've had some amazing guests, and I love what you're doing with the brand. I love what you're doing with the show, and I'm a genuine fan. So thank you. Who am I? People will call me an entrepreneur. People will call me a business owner. In my heart of hearts, I'm a technologist. I love technology. I love being efficient with technology. I own a company called Purple Circle. So if you go over to purplecircle.io, we're really just trying to simplify business using the latest and emerging technology. So if you're fed up with technology and you're kind of stuck with your revenue growth in your business, myself, my team come in. We do a deep dive into your business. We understand your processes. We see what technology is integrated. And then we come in and we comb through all of it. And we're able to really kind of sweeten things out, if you will. And that way you don't have to worry about the technology or the business of technology. We take care of that. And that way all of our clients can focus on what matters most. So I'm proud to say that I'm a founder of a small startup here in South Florida, slowly but surely becoming known as Silicon Beach. We have Silicon Valley on the West Coast. We have Silicon Alley in New York. Arguably, you have Silicon Farm out in Austin. There's a bunch of tech startups there and companies that are there as well. But I like to say that we're on Silicon Beach. We have Microsoft here, Dell, HBO Latino. We have some fintech companies as well. So I'm really proud to be where we're located and to grow where we are.
I love it. Thank you very much. Yeah, now, the technology part of it, I love that you're focusing really on this for businesses, because just in my experience, where I usually help companies is with the marketing side of things, the consulting, the execution of things. But usually where businesses are really in deep pain is this technology part, this fundamentals, you could say, of business. And when companies are out there trying to grow, when they're trying to succeed out there, this is like, whether you're a solopreneur to a 10,000 employee or more company, it's like this will kill you. This will cripple you. So what's like some of the common pitfalls that you find as you uncover a problem? When you just start, what's the most common thing that you find?
Yeah, I believe it or not, the most common thing that I have found is that as these businesses grow from 0 to a few 100,000 a year, and then again from 100,000 to their first million, they even lose track of the tech stack that they're using, the technology, the software, the hardware. They try so hard to hang on to what worked in the beginning. And like anything in life, as we grow up, as we learn, and in business, as you grow in revenue, what worked in the very beginning, maybe you're really scrappy, isn't really going to work when you start hitting your first, 6 figures and then 7 figures. So one of the things that we often find is that they had no idea that there were subscriptions that they were paying for in regards to their technology. There were things that they had no clue that they were still paying for. We often hear, and I'll be in meetings where it's like, oh yeah, I paid for that back in '98. I guess I never shut that down. It's like, yeah, you have other technology that does this and then some. So it's one of the beautiful things that we get to do with our clients, is that not only do we get to simplify systems, but we help them save money, we help them save time with automation, and then ultimately what we have done in order to save them their time and money kind of like a COO on demand. We give them opportunities for them to choose a path to be able to invest that new time and that new money. So whether it's educating their front line or maybe uplifting the hardware that they have out in the field, there's a bunch of different ways that we've seen clients reuse what we've been able to save and allocate. And the turnover has been fantastic. What turns over from where they were to where they're going, I mean, just a couple months ago, we saved the business from bankruptcy. I'm very, very proud of this because it was a small mom and pop shop, and they were really starting from scratch. And I love that. I loved being a part of something that was almost ground zero. They had a really bad story coming into it, and the right thing to do is always the right thing to do. So as we help them build from what they had to where they are, I mean, it was night and day, literally within 30 days. And I feel like I need a bottom line here, like results not typical, right? Because every business is very different. But in about 30 days, this company went from borderline bankrupt, paperwork on the desk, to file for bankruptcy, to in 30 days doing well over six figures. Day one was like $120,000 deal, then another $60,000 deal, and then a lot of $40,000 deals. The family had hard loans where the principal was due every day and a payment. So it was a hard loan that they had, and they were able to pay that off in a week. So I'm really, really happy. And that's just one of the clients, one of the success stories that we've had, that when they understand that we're there to help them through the technology, it's heartwarming to be able to see their growth, because a lot of times they don't even know what they have.
Well, and I think that's typical when you talk to a lot of businesses, is they're stuck in this trench of day to day. And so when they bring in someone like you from the outside to look in, that's how how dire this is for a lot of businesses. And some businesses out there, you may feel like, hey, I'm not in this position right now. What if you have something hiding there that you don't even know about, right? Or what if you're trying to figure out, what if you're starting off and you're like, well, how do I avoid that possible catastrophe that Will was just talking about, of a businesswoman? And that's how quickly this can turn around, by the way. So if you're in that position, by the way, I urge you strongly, reach out to Will and connect with them. So we got a lot of people jumping onto Instagram from around and Will, you work around the world, right? There's no limits of where you work with clients.
There is no limit. There is no limit. You're absolutely right. We're relatively a 24/7 shop. So it doesn't matter if you're in Singapore, doesn't matter if you're in New York, if you're in California, doesn't matter. We'll support you in the best way that we can.
Right. Hey, if you're in Dubai, which I know we have some visitors right now from Dubai that are on our streams right now too. So we're around the world here at Be Growth Driven, but so is Will, as far as what he offers businesses from a solution standpoint. What now? As you were talking about, as businesses are growing, we've heard that talked about like as breaking points that businesses reach, and they reach these breaking points. Like, how do you help businesses go through these breaking points, and how important is it that they start to forward think how to attack these?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've both learned, right? We're proud members of the 10x community, and something that Brendan Dawson has taught me, that has taught us, is that, to your point, there's these breakpoints in revenue and in scale. And what really validated me in one of the boot camps that we went to are those breakpoints and the solution to those breakpoints. Out of the 6 or 7, we are the solution that spans across all of those breakpoints. Each one is business processes, integrated technology, and then ultimately automation. And although these breakpoints are from 0 to 400,000, 400,000 to 3 million, 3 million, and on and on and on and on. The truth is that in revenue operations, or RevOps as we call it for short, you can prepare for this today. It doesn't matter if you're in a gig or it's a side hustle. You can prepare to ease those breakpoints today if you have the right processes in place, you have the right technology, and then ultimately you have the right automation. You want to be able to automate the tedious. You want to make sure that you have the right technology that supports you. So while you sleep, can you still make sales while you sleep? Can you still educate your team, or can you still educate your future customers while you sleep? And then ultimately going backwards is business processes, right? What's the actual process of doing business, right? We've had clients in the event space. We've had clients in construction. We've had clients in roofing. We've had clients from a gamut of different industries, and it's all the same. There's these common denominators in growth that once they hit them, what ends up happening is one of two things: either they overspend, and then they come into something called tech debt. Tech debt is when you only do the minimum. So you invest in the technology for your business, but only at the minimum. And then you end up realizing that because you've only done it at the minimum, now you can't really grow, right? There's a limitation on that software, there's a limitation on that hardware. So now you have to reinvest for that original opportunity or that original issue. And so what we try and do is we try to mitigate any tech debt that you may have incurred. We try and lower that or remove that completely so that you can break through those breakpoints and be able to grow your business and profit margin, right? Because it's one thing to have revenue, right? We've learned this too. It's one thing to have revenue. It's another thing to have profit. And we're really proud to have been able to help a lot of these companies that we've had the privilege of, serving grow from honestly 10 to 20% profit margin all the way through to almost 60 or 70%. They think that they may be in construction, they think that they may be in an event space, but in reality, they're really good at this niche. They're really good at this one thing. And once we have that data, once we have that information, once we have the processes in place, then Purple Circle and my team ultimately come in and say, hey, again, just like a COO would, as a COO would come over to the CEO, we come over to the owner or the family or the board of the company and say, hey, we see some real opportunities for growth and some serious profit margin. Here's the data, and here's what we think we should do next. And that's always fun to be able to tell we had a local mom and pop family who was stuck at like the six figures. They were stuck at, I want to say, $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And after working with us, even just for 60 days, we were already conservatively projecting them to do $1 million before the end of the year, because they were doing all these different events, but they were really good at corporate events. And we love being able to dig that up, and then ultimately put them on that path for success. That's always a lot of fun.
Right. So it sounds like kind of like the angle that you work with a lot of businesses too is really on a consultative basis. So a lot of times businesses are looking for, hey, I'm looking for this tangible product that's going to solve my problem, this tool that's going to solve my problem. And that's not always what it's about. And I like that you talked about this tech debt, because I know that many years ago I was stuck on this old CRM, and the CRM, I'm like, well, it has my name, my information in it. It's just, but I knew it wasn't doing what I needed to do from a technology standpoint to move me forward in the future. And that's where really it's like, unless you have someone like yourself come in and do a consulting, to really dig into it, you're missing so much opportunities. You mentioned that this one small business, taking it from a low six figures opportunity on up to 7-figure pace and beyond, this is just the first stage of where that company could undoubtedly go. And that's kind of like, that's worth the information just to find out, well, how do I clean this up? Maybe you're like, hey, I'm not, maybe you're one of the small businesses like, hey, I'm not worried about growing a $10 million business or a $5 million business. I just want to, keep I want to keep things simple. And I'm with you. I hear you. But you help those companies too, to make it so that way it's more predictable, you could say.
Yeah, and to speak to the theme of today's session, right? Building a growth-driven environment, being sure that you have the right environment, whether it's in your business or even from a technology perspective, having the right environment, building that is so key. And yeah, you're absolutely right, Joel. Oftentimes, as these businesses are being built out, you'll have a head of sales, and then you'll have a head of marketing, and then you have a head of CX or customer experience or customer service, right? And as these companies grow, what ultimately ends up happening is that we start building these silos. And the listeners to the show definitely will relate to this for sure, because the groups that grow, the groups that are able to kind of scale, once they figure out what they're doing and that their first part of profitability, what naturally and organically happens, and it's unfortunate, is that things get segmented. No, don't touch that. That's the sales process. No, that's customer service. Don't, Bill or Jane, that's their realm. We don't want to touch that. And in fact, what we actually want to do is we want to integrate that. These walls that are built up over time end up being the walls that don't allow for the growth of these organizations. And so we're really proud to stay on with clients on a long-term basis and really become the COO on demand for them. We're really proud of the work that we've done, and we love to be able to see businesses grow. For whatever reason, we've been blessed with a lot of family businesses from startup and from stage one, like stage zero, all the way through to, I think our biggest client was 15 or 30 million. And to be able to see some of the changes, even with the littlest details, to be able to break down those silos so that you have a continuity and flow of data and information for the father who owns the business, or the owner, whoever it may be, right? Or the mom, or whatever the case may be. So that in one glance, they know where the business is, the next decision that needs to be made, how to grow the business, what they want to do. And the fact that they could do this with a tap of a button or on a single dashboard when they, boot up their computer is something that I absolutely love and am passionate about. And by building these integrations that you really create a growth-driven environment. When you finally put these things together and you put them in place over the long term, it's up to you whether or not to figure out, well, am I passing this on to my kids? And do we want to sell the business? Maybe we want to buy out another business. Maybe we have a lot of time, and maybe I'm a plumber and now I want to get into paint, and then I want to get into tile, and then I want to get into, and so what we do at Purple Circle is we make that transition really easy, or as easy as possible, depending on the vertical. It's really fun to be able to help these family businesses, and I think now more than ever to create an environment for these family businesses so that they don't have to worry about the technology. They have a partner they can trust, so they could focus on what matters most to them. That's what lights me up. That's my KPI. That's my big win.
Right. I love that. I love that because that's where a lot of businesses can get really quickly kind of like sidelined, can't they? Where they get tied into
Yeah,
the
totally.
technology, and they get pulled into the weeds over here, and they're like, but very quickly they're working inside the business so deep that they can't see what's happening on the outside.
Yeah, what often happens is that we notice that there's kind of two enemies in business, right? It's distraction, and destruction. And sometimes it's, unbeknownst to them, that what they're doing is maybe destroying a sales process, or by trying to, uh, you know, build out something on their own that, they're taking away from sales, right? And so what we try to do is we try to mitigate all of that. Focus on coffee. If you're a coffee maker, if you're the person who loves roasting the beans and then ultimately making like the best coffee, if you are, the next Starbucks, then worry about the quality of the bean, worry about the pour, worry about the level of heat and being able to scale that, because that's your zone of genius, right? You recently had Samantha Roberts on, who I'm a huge fan of, and she often talks about zone of genius. And what we want to be able to do at Purple Circle is to be able to facilitate our clients' zone of genius by handling the technology. Let us take care of the technology and help you scale. You worry about making the best cup of coffee, or your marketing, or your roofing company, or your construction company, or concrete company. You worry about that. We'll take care of the technology, and we love being able to do that. It just fills the soul. I don't know how else to describe it because I'm so passionate about it. But it really does. It fills the soul, and to know that we're making an impact not only for our clients, but our clients' clients and their community is something that I love being able to hear. That's the big win for us.
I love it. I love it. And I like that you're pointing out as far as like how dangerous that distraction is and destruction is, because that distraction is what usually causes the destruction. And a lot of businesses,
100%.
yeah, and a lot of businesses just fall into that. They get distracted because they're starting to grow, things are starting to flow, they're hiring employees, and they didn't start to plan for that future. And so this is where, someone like yourself, you've seen a lot of success where even when someone's gotten themselves in that situation, it's not too far. They can turn this around. They can grab a hold of that and work with you. What would be like if for businesses like from the 0 to 1 million mark, from the 100,000 to 1 million mark, from the 1 million to 5 million mark? Is there a common problem that you're seeing that you don't see in other segments?
Yeah, it's data continuity. It's being able to have transparency on where the data is coming in and where is it going and where is it coming from. And
Right.
it's just disparate. The data that's out there is just so segmented that it's kind of the big win for us up front, and we love being able to do it. But any business can mitigate that if you just make sure that you stay focused on um, building that environment for growth, building that environment for sorry, I'm getting an echo. Um, Building that environment for growth, building that environment for data transparency, building that and really understanding your processes. I think that's the biggest thing too, right? It's one thing to have data all over the place. I'm not going to necessarily say that that's okay, but what's really going to be the killer is the 1-2 punch of data everywhere and then not understanding your own process. How do you actually make the sale from whether it's marketing and the referral all the way through to the transaction and then the follow through to be able to execute against that promise? If you're not clear on what that process is, plus now you have data all over the place, I mean, that's the telltale sign of someone who needs RevOps, someone who really needs someone who understands operations to be able to help you through that, because that in and of itself will save you all the way through into, I mean, I would say into the early millions. So from that first million all the way through to that 10, 15. It's once you get to that 10 to $15 million in revenue that we've seen that you can have the best processes in place, you can have the right technology, but if you don't have the right automation, that's not going to help you continue to grow. And we both know in this and in the community, and I tell our clients this all the time, it gets to a certain point where then it repeats. Then once you're in that, the 10, the 12, the $14 million mark, it repeats all over again because now you're scaling the different revenue channels through efficiency of operations, and you do it all over again. Business processes, integrated technology, and automation. It's the beauty of this business is that it's up to you whether or not you want to grow. Do you want to add on another revenue channel? Are you the concrete person who now wants to do pavers or tile or whatever the case may be? If you don't have what you do in lockstep, it's okay if you have some of the data around. It's just going to slow you down. If you want to be able to really speed up, get your business processes straight, write them down. Make sure you know the technology that you're paying for, that you have in place, and then ultimately try and automate the tedious. Because once you start doing that, then it allows you and frees up time for you to focus on the growth of the business, or in some cases, what matters most. And if for you as the business owner, you just want to spend a lot of time on your nonprofit, then by building the right automation, it'll give you the ability to spend more time in your nonprofit or in your community or in your church or mosque or synagogue, place of worship, whatever the case may be. By being able to automate what you can, it allows for you to be able to, I hate to sound corny, but sell while you sleep.
I love that. So, and you highlighted like one thing as far as like that data, just that data continuity across the board. And I've seen a lot of businesses that I've worked with from a marketing standpoint, and they don't know who their best customer is. And they've been in business for 5-10 years, and they don't even know who their best customer is. They don't know who their audience is. They have an idea who their audience is. And what's interesting, we do a lot of data tracking, for example, just from a marketing standpoint for clients. And we had a national brand that had well over 600 locations, and they're like, "Hey, the customer that responds to our direct mail campaigns is this." And what was interesting is we did that back end analysis. We found out, no, it's a completely different picture. Here's the persona of this person, and now that we have the data consolidated, we can actually attack the market in a whole different way now. And that's where this comes to, like, for as like a small business, if if you're like, hey, this is like the best product, this is the best product. I should have covered the name, but oh well, they'll get over it. This is the best product that we're selling. It's just because you really love that product, if you're not tracking the data, if you don't have these systems in place, then you're not going to be able to track that. Like we have a good friend, Brian Galki. He settles skills. He does a lot of training. If he was selling courses on training on what he does, what he helps businesses do, he's on Instagram. For those that are watching on Facebook, go follow this guy, Settle Skills on Instagram. But if he didn't know that, hey, this course that he's pitching that he was so passionate about because he put so much time into it wasn't cash flowing because he didn't have, for example, the systems that you're talking about in place, he could sit there and drive himself into the ground just pushing it, which is
Yeah,
what you and I have seen a
100%.
lot of businesses do.
And it's universal, Joel. Whether you're in business or you're a nonprofit, we've even experienced at our local church. We had the privilege of being able to help our local church go streaming. So once COVID hit, a lot of the places of worship were trying to figure out, well, how can we still stay connected to our community? And talking about turning lemons into lemonade, what ended up happening was that these data sets started coming in. And so I went to our local priest and said, hey, I pulled some reports on our Facebook stream and our YouTube streams and, everything else that, they're pushing out. I said, if you had to guess who our main demographic is, who would it be? And of course, he states what he thinks is the obvious. I said, in fact, there's an entire group of young men from the age, 18 to 32 who actively listen to the mass. We may want to be able to provide a service for that young adult male group at church. And so it was eye-opening. And so whether it's at church or whether it's, any nonprofit, when you have the right processes in place with the right technology, and to your point, Joel, to be able to measure it, to be able to see it, to be able to report on that consistently, that's where groups like myself and Purple Circle and some of these other organizations out there, they come. That's the whole point, is so that now you have the full perspective. You have a full 50,000-foot view of that organization, of that business. So you could say, oh my gosh, I can't believe that there's an entire, segment of, opportunity or, new clients that I haven't been able to serve because I had no idea because I was too busy either trying to do something over here or I was distracted, or little did I know that not by doing this, I was destroying this opportunity. So it doesn't matter if you're a for-profit or nonprofit, it's the same. It's pretty universal. When you have someone dedicated to the operations of your organization, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, and has the same skin in the game as the person who owns it, we take a percentage of the revenue, and it's a very, very small. It's actually 1%. We don't take any other fees. We're month to month, and if there's anything that happens, we're the first ones to fire ourselves. We need to make sure we ensure we are dedicated, and it's the reason why we're basically a 24/7 shop. We make sure that we have the same skin in the game as all of our clients, because we align ourselves not just to our clients, but to the people, to their customers, to their clients. And so I said to one roofing client recently, I said, I was blessed to have been a part of this. And I said to the owner, I said, you're not just a roofer. I said, you need to know that you're in protection. You are protecting the young single mom who is going to school again to get her degree, that she was a dropout and now she's going back to do better for her family. And you are protecting her journey. You are protecting that young family from a leaky roof. There was another example where there was a veteran involved, suffering from PTSD. That leaky roof was the trigger for that veteran. And he is coming in I have goosebumps even talking about it. He's coming in to fix this roof. It's not just a roof. It's sanity. It's calm. It's inner peace. And for us to be able to facilitate that solution, for us to be able to facilitate that relief through technology is, for us, like I said, that's the biggest win. And if you're looking for a partner to, or a vendor, or just another business who stays up at night with you, we're that company, and we love doing it. It's not a it's not just a line. Oftentimes you hear about the 3 a.m. phone call, right? And it's true. My line is on 24/7, 365 for all of our clients. And if it's not me, it's one of our other team members. And we love being able to serve. We love being able to be there. And we love being able to pick up the phone and say, it's a great day at Purple Circle. What could I get you information on, Joel? And we use your first name for a reason. That building of relationship is the same building that we use for your growth environment. If you're not in tune with that relationship with your data, if we're not in tune in our relationship with our clients, then the whole thing breaks apart. We want to make sure that we're always there for our clients. So we always make sure that we have a dedicated team. And it's like I said, it's regardless if you're for profit or nonprofit, regardless if you're millions of dollars in revenue or a startup, because we've helped startups give them a foundation. We have a service called foundational RevOps that allows for them to have the tools necessary to break through those breakpoints, on their own. We set them up for success. We don't want them to hit those breakpoints because it stunts their growth. And if you want to be growth driven, then it's really important to make sure that your business has the right environment, whether it's in data or physically, to be able to facilitate that growth.
Right. I love that. I love that. And so just kind of like recapping as we put everything in a ball, it's like you help companies, if we were to wrap it up, help them implement the right processes with the right tech, with the right automation so they can grow and scale and stay away
100%.
from distractions and destruction. If we were going to put it all in kind of a nutshell.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And we're very, very proud to be able to do that.
I love that. I love that. Fantastic. Now, let me ask you this question. We always ask this of our guests, especially particularly those that are of the 10X community. And, because this is how you and I connected, was within the 10X community. And it's such a beautiful community of entrepreneurs, business owners, and salespeople, and people that are trying to go for something bigger in a lot of different ways in areas of life. What does 10X mean to you?
Oh man, I love this question. 10X is more than just a number. 10X is more than just a lifestyle. 10X is more than a headspace. 10X is that fire within you to keep going. It's the moment where you are that programmer, that developer, or the pizza maker, or the coffee guy, or the janitor, and you take just one more, and it's that moment for me when you lose time. It's a beautiful moment in time and space that allows for you, so that at the end you look back and you saw that you were able to 10X what you normally would have. That's what 10X means to me. 10X defies space and time. It's your flow.
I love that. It kind of made me think when you were describing that, kind of, I don't know if everyone here has probably climbed a small mountain or some sort of a elevation that has some height to it. And you look back and you're like, wow, I'm really far up. That's what I get from you describing 10X. Absolutely love it, Will. So, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're very, very blessed and privileged to have you here, and look forward to definitely sharing some time with you in Dubai here coming up. Quickly, 2 weeks, man, 2 weeks.
I'm so excited. If you miss this, you're missing out on something so unique. To say that this event is going to be epic is an understatement. It's an understatement. It would be calling like Amazon a bodega. You are missing out on arguably one of the biggest events, quite frankly, at the World Convention Center in Dubai. Governments have met here. Companies. I mean, talk about a crossroads of the world. You got to get to Dubai, whether it's virtually or in person. Go get your tickets. I'm looking forward to being able to speak on stage with my colleague here, Joel, and Chris Dunson and Miriam Ali, and there's so many more. There's even more speakers yet to be announced, and it's gonna be amazing. Get yourself some tickets, virtual or online. 10x UAE.ae. I know Joel has links everywhere. I have links in my bio too as well. So make sure you get your tickets. I want to be able to meet you. I want to be able to talk about your business or faith or life or whatever questions you have. I'm really honored to have the stage, and I'm really looking forward to Dubai.
Well, we'll just put it up here on the Instagram as well. We got it rolling across. So if those of you on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, we got it rolling across the bottom. Will and I
Oh, I
both.
love the crawler. I love the crawler.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so cool.
So it definitely. I'm sure you didn't mind me throwing this up here for our dear friend Miriam. There we go. Aisha got it up there for Instagram. Thank you so much. We'll pin that one. We'll replace Be Growth Driven there. So those of our friends here on Instagram, go check it out. If you're following us, if you're part of the community, and you're like, I just can't make it to Dubai, guys. I mean, what are you thinking? This is like 2 weeks away, and you're asking me to book a ticket to Dubai. I'm with you. Do it. Book a ticket
Just do it.
Book a ticket to Dubai. Absolutely. If you can't do it and you got other plans, grab the virtual because that way you'll be able to hit the replay. Are you going to hear some of the same content that you've probably heard before? Absolutely. But the person you are hearing that content is not the same as when you first heard it. Simple as that. And I think you and I both see that as well.
100%. And if I may, Joel,
Absolutely.
oftentimes we'll learn something from someone and we'll kind of acknowledge and go, yeah, that's good. And then someone else says it in their own unique way. Someone else says it based on their own experience. Someone else says that one nugget that propels you. So talk about 10x, that propels you 10x. That's what this moment is about. You want to be able to make sure that you grab as many nuggets of wisdom as you possibly can, so that when you start, when you're on fire, those nuggets start melting into gold, and you're able to use that to build, your own empire.
I love it. Well, that's what I've always shown too. It's like that one little piece. If I can go to a workshop, go to an event, and walk away from with one little piece. Like I remember GrowthCon 3, Jessley Itzer kind of really hit me home because it was really a tough time for me. And he said the statement, he said a lot of stuff, but this is what really added to me was he's like, you didn't come this far to only come this far. And I when I heard this, I had literally, it was on the Friday of the event. I flew in that Friday morning. So I had no more than rushed to the hotel, dropped my bags, made it, grabbed an Uber, got to the event. And when I walked in, that was the first thing I heard. And man, it was the one thing I really needed to hear, is that I didn't come this far to only come this far. And so that's the reason why we're taking a few extra minutes right here just to really bring highlight to this event that's coming up in Dubai and the ones to follow, because I know there's ones to follow, and definitely worth it. So go get your ticket. Go get your ticket today. Will, thank you so much, my friend. I look forward to seeing you there, you and your wife. And it's going to be definitely a very memorable opportunity and occasion to network, communicate, and learn.
I feel the same way. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for being on the show with me and the opportunity to be on the show. I'm humbled. I'm always humbled to have anyone be willing to listen to this nerd here. So thank you.
No, absolutely. I mean, come on, Will. You know me. I nerd it out. I mean, let's start to talk about data, and I get all like excited. So let's
Exactly.
go. Well, hey, we want to invite everyone that's watching right now to next week's episode of Be Growth Driven. We're going to have another special guest connected with the event coming up in 10X Dubai joining us. You'll have to stay tuned to actually go find out who that guest is. We want you to find out who that guest is. So go to begrowthdriven.com and definitely follow, like, share everything, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram this up, share it out, tag some people that need to hear what Will talked about today. And definitely, Will, how can people get a hold of you? Is there a quick number they can call?
Yeah, if you're in the States, it's 305-927-2590, or just head on over to purplecircle.io.
Awesome. We're going to go ahead and put that information with this. So if you missed that, simply go out to YouTube to begrowthdriven.com, Be Growth Driven's YouTube channel, and we're going to have the phone number and the links there for you, so that way you'll be able to reach out to Will. Give him a call. Just if you own a business, if you're an entrepreneur, If you're, for example, in real estate and you want this process streamlined for you, call Will for this operational side, call me to get you the traffic. Because once you have the operational side, the foundational pieces in place, that's how you're going to blow up.
100%, regardless of the vertical. Doesn't matter if you're in real estate, doesn't matter if you're just starting or you're doing 14 million, 50 million, 500 million.
Right.
We can scale you. We could give you the ability to be able to focus on what matters most to you. So like I said, purplecircle.io or the phone number that I mentioned, 305-927-2590. We're happy to have the conversation.
Love it. Will, thank you again very much. I appreciate you, my friend. And again, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Everyone else, be great because nothing else pays.